If you don't know me, my name is Liz and I'm a singer with the vintage vocal trio, the Victory Sisters. So if you don't already follow us, then head on over to our pages on Facebook and Instagram and give us a follow and a like. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're in lockdown at the minute, so you might be thinking I need something new and creative and experimental to try out. That's where I come in. Because today I'm going to do some baking, but not just any old baking, oh no. I'm going to be doing a recipe based around rations. And I'm going to be using this book here, which is called the Wartime Cookbook. And this is actually written by Brian and Ann Moses. Now they are the parents of our very own Victory Sister Karen. How cool is that? So I'm going to be cooking a recipe out of here today, and I'm going to be doing the eggless sponge. I'll show you all the ingredients and a bit more of the inside later. I'm going to head into the kitchen and get all of my ingredients ready. I'll make sure to put all of the ingredients and the quantities you need in the description box below. So why not bake along with me? Grab your apron, let's get going. So let's take a look inside the book. There's lots of information about different things you can do, making do with less, strange foods, and there's the recipe I'm going to do today, which is the eggless sponge. There's also things about finding substitutes for ingredients that you might not be able to find, and of course using what's on the land. So here's the full recipe for the eggless sponge. First things first, let's get our apron on. So this is the equipment you'll need. The recipe actually calls for 2 7-inch tins, but mine are 6-inch tins, because that's what I've got. So we're making do, guys, we're making do. You'll also need a sieve, a big mixing bowl, and a hand whisk. Of course you can use a wooden spoon and beat it, but I'm going to use my trusty hand whisk here. So let's take a look at the ingredients you'll need to make this cake. I'm going to start with 150 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 65 grams of margarine, 50 grams of sugar, 1 tablespoon of golden syrup, and 125 ml of milk, and finally some jam for the filling. Okay, so we're going to preheat our oven to 200 degrees C. Now it's on to greasing the tins. So I'm just taking a bit of butter or margarine on a bit of greaseproof paper, and I'm running that around the base and the sides of the tin to make sure it's nicely coated. And now we're going to flour the sides. So what you do is pour in some more flour, I'm just using self-raising flour, and then you shake the tin so that the flour sticks to the butter, and make sure you get the bottom and the sides. And then you just tip out the excess. Then we're going to take the flour and we're going to pass it through a sieve. Shake that all through. And then also the baking powder as well. Make sure you get it all in there. Now bring in your big mixing bowl. I have a nice red one. Red's my favourite colour, can you tell? Then we're going to add the margarine. And to that we're going to add the sugar. Then we're also going to add the golden syrup. Mine's taking a long time to come out. Grab a spoon if you need a bit of help. I have a tip though, if you're going to use golden syrup, you could always lightly oil your spoon or your dish, and then that way the golden syrup should slide out easily. And I did not eat a little bit of that golden syrup that was left. Shh, don't tell anyone. Then you can take your trusty hand whisk and start whisking that all together. It should become light and fluffy after about 2 minutes. Then after it becomes nice and light, I'm just going to take a spatula and run it around the sides of the bowl to make sure that all the ingredients are mixed together nicely. And then we can start adding our other ingredients. I'm going to add a couple of spoonfuls of the flour and just mix that in. And then I'm going to add a splash of milk and make sure that's nicely mixed in. Then you can alternate between the milk and the flour until all your ingredients are mixed in the bowl. Once you've put your last bit of flour in, I'm just going to take my spatula and finish off the mixing by hand. Okay, now the batter looks good. I'm going to bring back our tins. And all you need to do is split the batter between them. I'm just doing this by eye. Who's got time to weigh things, eh? Then I'm just going to use that spatula and even out the surface of the cake batter. And then it's over to the oven. Now those with a keen eye might have noticed that I've turned my oven down a little bit, and that's just because I know my oven runs quite hot. So I've turned it down by about 15 or so degrees to make sure that the batter still cooks but doesn't burn. The cakes are going to bake for about 20 minutes or until firm to the touch. Time for a quick tea break. After the cakes are done, you can take them out of the oven and place them on a cooling rack to cool down a little bit in their tins. Once the cakes have cooled a little in their tin, you can turn them out of the tin and place them back on the cooling rack to finish cooling completely. And here they are, our 2 cakes out of the oven and on the cooling rack, looking very nice and golden brown. Now it's time for the jam. So you just want to find a little cake stand or a plate and place one of your cakes on top of the stand. And then you can take whatever jam you like. I just happen to have some very fancy blueberry jam. And take as much or as little of that as you want. I like a lot of jam, so I'm going to put a lot of jam on there. And spread that out to the edges. Now you could just leave the cake there and be finished, but I'm actually going to put a little bit of icing sugar on top. And here is the finished cake. I think it looks rather nice on our little vintage cake stand. And I've got my nice cup of tea and I've got myself a slice because I think it's time we eat it. Right, here we go. Getting jam everywhere. That is delicious. Oh, that's a triumph, I'd say. I think you need to get yourself this book. So I hope you enjoyed yourselves today and thank you for cooking along with me. I'm going to carry on drinking my tea and eating my cake. See you next time. Bye.